when we get the opportunity to do it is a lot of fun, just to bring up folks that have been with us for so many years. We've got a lot of dedicated employees, and we have two tonight. First, I want to recognize David Adams, got 20 years in. David, come on down for a second. David started with us in February of 2003, and he was promoted to a craftsman in training in 2005 and attended the Construction Education Foundation of Alabama, and that made him a journeyman carpenter. That was in 2009, but this guy can build anything, and he just does a great job. He's always got a wonderful attitude. We've been friends, worked together on different things over the years. You never know what, but all different kinds of things. But we appreciate all that he does and just his really good attitude. And his wife Sherry and daughter Kenzie, they didn't come to applaud you tonight. That's all right. We will applaud you. But we really do thank you for your service and appreciate everything that you do for our city. And next is Jason Franklin. Jason, come on down. Jason is the Assistant Director of Public Works. Jason started in 2003 as well as a laborer and promoted 2 years later. He's moved up the ranks in 2009, he became an equipment operator. In 2016, he was promoted to the Public Works Supervisor. 2019, the Public Works Manager. And now he is the Assistant Director. And I think if you were to ask the police department or the fire department how we feel about Public Works, we feel like they are first responders as well. They're right there, right in the trenches, literally sometimes, right? And we just are grateful for everything that they do. Jason's has exhibited all sorts of leadership throughout his career, and that's why he's the Assistant Director at this point, and someone that we rely on a great deal and just does a really good job and a fantastic attitude. And we put him in some tough situations all over the city, and we just want to let you know how much we appreciate everything that you've done and continue to do. Congratulations on 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 3 different presentations tonight, and I'd like to call on Chief Clay Bentley. Chief Bentley, if you'd come down, I understand you have some good news on our ISO rating. Chief Durzis, you'll be on deck.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council, and Mayor. I'm proud to announce that the Hoover Fire Department has retained our ISO Class 1 rating. Our ISO visit was held back in August of 2022, and we were notified just last month that we had retained ISO Class 1. As many of you are aware, ISO, or VeriRisk, is an entity that evaluates the community's risk as it relates to structural fires, and then evaluates the fire department on its ability to mitigate those structural fires in that particular community. The grading criteria consists of 3 different categories. One is they evaluate our 911 system and how we take calls and process calls, which is worth 10 points. They also evaluate the various municipal water systems that serve our city, such as Bessemer, Shelby County, Birmingham, and Pelham. And then they also evaluate the fire department and how the fire department functions. Of the 45,000 fire departments that are evaluated by ISO across our nation, there are only 411 of those departments that hold an ISO Class 1. I'd like to thank Mayor Mercado, the City Council, and for your leadership and continued support of our fire department. I think that goes without saying, but we certainly appreciate you and what you do for us. I'd also like to add that in November of 2021, you remember that the Hoover Fire Department was the first fire department in the state of Alabama to achieve accreditation through the Center for Public Safety Excellence and the Commission on Fire Accreditation. Of the 45,000 fire departments across the nation, only 301 are accredited. And of those, there are only 114 departments across our nation that hold both superior ratings. I don't say that to boast. I say that to show you, I hope, the level of commitment, dedication, and hard work that our members demonstrate each day. And I'm extremely proud of them and what they do. And we just wanted to say thank you for your continued support as well. Thank you.
Chief, congratulations to you and your staff on continuing that.
Thank you.
Chief Durzis, I believe you have some recognitions for some police explorers who are with us tonight.
Yes, sir. Very, very excited about it, too. And, we have the Hoover Explorer Post, number 2033, Mayor, Council. And again, I want to say thank you to you guys for being very, very supportive and giving us the funds to be able to do the things that our young people do. So first of all, I'd like to call up our advisors, our main advisor, Jana Newsom, and two assistants, Hunter Hutchins and Marquis Jackson. All three are police officers, obviously, with the City of Hoover. Marquis Jackson, at one point in his life, before he became a police officer, was a Hoover Police Explorer. So he's come full circle here. And also like to call up our explorers, our Lieutenant, Elijah Ferguson, Corporal, Molly Rowland, Senior Explorer First Class, Jackson Fast, Senior Explorer First Class, Hudson McClinton. Of course, Hudson McClinton, I think y'all know his dad. We don't have to call him out. And then I'd also like to bring up Explorer Caden Wester, who became an Explorer in 2022. And I met tonight his dad, John, who's a state trooper in the back of the room, and certainly thank him for his service. Our Hoover Explorers went to the Winterfest 2023 in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. There were roughly 50 teams that competed. Our Explorers competed in the active shooter, warrant service, uniform inspection, interview interrogation, and they placed second in active shooter, third in uniform inspection, third in interview interrogation, as they're holding their plaques up in front here. So very, very proud of the commitment that these young men and women have. Just like the fire department explorers, again, I know Clay Bentley, the chief, has talked about the explorers that have become fire service employees here. And we certainly have Marquis as a good example. And I hope some of these young people that we have standing up here, when they get into college and finish their degrees, that they'll be back up here as Hoover police officers. So again, I want to extend thank you for the advisors for the type of job that you do and the commitment to make sure that these young people are ready and committed to law enforcement. And for you guys, thank you for the job that you did, for your commitment to go to Gatlinburg and compete and bring back, really very proud for the city and the police department, what you guys did. So thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to call on Ms. Tina Bolt for an update on our December financials.
Is the clicker over here? So did that mean I only have 3 minutes?
We're going to give you as much time as you need.
I'll
This is
take
an important
3.
topic.
So this is the December financials. We're still bringing in revenues and imports for January, but I thought it would be good to look at December before our Christmas sales. So wanted to go ahead and look at that. So if you look at what we're bringing in for revenues, we are at 25% of budget. With 3 months into the fiscal year, we should be right at 25. So last year, we were a little bit ahead of this, so we are already seeing revenues starting to level out a little bit, which is what we've been saying for quite some time. Expenditures are at 23.1%, which is just under the 25% we should expect at this point in time. And then other sources are at 11.3, which right now gives us a net change in fund balance of 5.7. Adding that to our fund balance, that would give us, if we close the books today, that would give us 96.7. Let me talk a little bit about that fund balance at the beginning of year. If you notice, this looks a little bit different than what we looked at when we looked at closing September. But if you remember, we talked about some funds had to be swept over into capital projects to fund projects. So we swept that over. That was $15 million that we swept over from the $34 million that we were adding to fund balance at the end of September. Now, again, that is still preliminary. We're still working on closing the books, but that's close to where we're going to be. I also, since we had already approved the turf, went ahead and moved turf over to capital projects because that would be a capital project. And then we had already paid for the Village Station property and the Lorna Road building. So moving those two items over there because, again, those are capital projects and we want those things to show up in capital projects and also as a fixed asset. So that needs to be reflected not in the general fund, but that's what the capital projects fund is for. Does anybody have any, that's kind of confusing, I know. Does anybody have any questions? So basically what we did was we moved all that over to capital projects where those items are being purchased to give us in the general fund a fund balance of $91 million to start the year with. Okay. All right, Wendy, clicker is not working. So looking at our revenues, you can see our sales and use tax are still continuing to look strong. We are at 29% of budget. Our other taxes, as you can see, I won't go through everything. I want to make a note of our total interest. As we've talked about, many times about we do have to market. It is a GASB standard that every municipality has to market on your investments. And so we've done some strategies called basically what you would call a ladder approach with our investments. And we are actually, as things start to mature, because we have things almost now maturing almost every month, we're starting to reap those benefits with the rates. And so this is the first time we're actually seeing a positive number for interest. And so with that, we earned just on the investment side about $430 something thousand on the investment side. For our bank account, we've tried to do some strategies to also gain some interest there by moving our funds into an investment sweep account. And so that has also earned us about $360,000 up to through December, October, November, December. So as you can see on the total interest for year-to-date actual, we're actually seeing some positive numbers. And if you look, what we budgeted for interest for the year of $832,000, we're actually almost receiving all of that, and we hope with the market that we will continue to see some growth there. Again, keeping in mind that there is a possibility that, market is going to change. So looking at just our breakdown of different, of our sales tax, I won't go through every one of them, but you see that we have, most of our growth is in general sales tax, which is what we've continued to see throughout all of last year, and then seller's use tax. Consumer use tax continues to show some decline, as we have seen it caught up at the end of September, but again, we're back to seeing a little bit of decline. We hope that will catch up. We are continuing to see some growth in SSUT. So for total sales, or sales and use tax together, we're seeing a difference from what we brought in this time, or as of December 2021 to December 2022, of 1.3 million. Again, we're still seeing some growth, but this is still not the growth that we saw as of last year. But as we've been saying, you know, the economy is changing. We are gonna see some things. We're not gonna have the windfalls that we had the last 2 years, which were just an anomaly. And so here we are. We're at that point that we have to start watching our cash flow.
Very good. Any questions from members for Ms. Bolt?
Yes, Mr. President, this
Yes,
is
sir.
one question, and if you don't know this off the top of your head, I want to say, was it 18 or 17 when the state did a rebuilt Alabama gas tax? I think the last penny was 2021. Do we see much of an increase for us on that, or is that just allocation based upon when they yield that money out to different states for roads and or streets or paving or lighting and things of that nature?
I don't have what that growth is. I think there's some growth in that, but I'll have to get back with you. I don't have that broken
Yeah,
down
that's
just in
fine.
this.
Are we earmarked that money, or again, does it come in like a grant process where we have to request it based upon the project?
It just comes in, but it is in our special revenue
So it
fund, so it
is.
is restricted.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Anyone else have a question? Very good. Thank you, Ms. Bolt.
Thank you.
We have a couple of guests tonight I want to recognize in the chamber before we move to our agenda. We have former Councilman Joe Reeves and former Councilor, now State Representative Mike Shaw. Welcome to both of you gentlemen. We have, yes, sir. And Mr. Shannon Ely. You want to give a report to us tonight? I don't have you on the agenda, but we're going to make a rare exception and let you do that.
Well, good evening. I appreciate the opportunity. I'll be short and sweet. Just happy to report that the Hoover Met Complex has extended the agreement for 3 years with Perfect Game Baseball and Softball. That will run through December of 2025. You know, we serve at the Hoover Met Complex, we serve as a major regional hub for Perfect Game. And so we're really excited about this partnership. I just wanted to hit on a couple of numbers to just express how much business that they do and how much they impact the community. So over this past fiscal year, there were 29 different tournaments that covered 81 days. The Perfect Game tournaments generated more than 1,200 teams and had an economic impact of more than $28 million. So we're certainly very, very excited about continuing that partnership, continuing to grow the events. And I'm also grateful for you and the project, the turf project that was approved, because they're very excited. That gives them greater flexibility now, as when they have more field space than we can offer at the Hoover Met Complex, they're able to use more Hoover parks and fields. So all very, very positive, and they're very excited.
Very good. Any questions or comments for Mr. Ely? We always love hearing good news. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll now move to our consent agenda. Items 1 through 5 are presented as part of the consent agenda, which the council will consider with one motion and one block vote. I would ask, is there any member of the body who would like items 1 through 5 removed from consent and moved to regular agenda? Seeing none, any member of the public here who would like to have any item 1 through 5 moved from the consent to regular? Seeing none, Mr. Corley, please read the items.
Item number 1 is the approval of the minutes from the December 5th, 2022 work session and the December 5th, 2022 meeting. Item 2, Resolution 6885-23 approves an alcohol license for Gemco LLC doing business as Beef O'Brady's St. Patrick's Day Celebration 2023 at 5519 Grove Boulevard, Suite 109, in the parking lot of that business for the sale of 140 special events retail alcohol. Item 3, Resolution 688623 reappoints Mark Maynard as the City of Hoover EAC member of the Personnel Review Board for the term ending February 28th, 2026. Resolution 688723 declares certain personal property not needed for public or municipal purposes and directs the disposal of said items. These items are unit number 2634, which is a 2017 Ford Explorer, and unit 236A, a 2014 Chevy Tahoe, 9 exercise bikes, and 6 pallets of broken and outdated MIS equipment. Resolution 688823 authorizes Mayor Mercado or his designee to execute and deliver a change order for an increase of $106,298.17 for the new contract sum and the total amount of $470,276.17 with Southeastern Seal Coating, Inc. for the Russet Woods Sidewalk Project.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. We'll now have a first reading, ordinance number 23-2595. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance authorizes annexation of certain property located at 402 Cambo Lane as requested by the owners William and Rachel Schultz. A public hearing is set for March 6th, 2023.
Ms. Dickerson, I understand that Councilor Driver has had the opportunity to review this one for a first vetting.
That's correct.
Anything you'd like to share with the council? I know I'd share with the body that this is totally surrounded by the city of Hoover. It's a property that did not come into the city with the original Bluff Park annexation. Anything else to add?
No, there's nothing else to add. It is not located in a fire district. At this point, the city of Hoover, when we contacted the city of Hoover Fire Department, they said that they'd be running the calls for this since it's pretty much surrounded by Hoover and just a couple of parcels that's not.
Very good. Any questions for this item? We'll gather again tonight, on March 6th for a second reading and a potential vote. Any questions about that tonight? Hearing none, I ask if there's any member of the body that has any comment tonight. Any member of the public like to have a comment or speak tonight? Seeing none, thank you for your attendance. We're adjourned. Appreciate you.